Well, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Olivia Barnes, and I'm the head of business development here at UTS College in Sydney, and I'm joined by my colleague Aline.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Aline, and I've been working at UTS College for a good decade now. So, yeah, happy to talk to you guys today.
And we're also delighted to have Rayat joining us, who is currently studying at UTS and is from Dhaka in Bangladesh. So you'll get an opportunity to meet Rayat a little bit further into the presentation. So first slide, please. So I just wanted to run you through the agenda for today and some of the things that we're going to be covering off in today's session. So firstly, we're going to run through a little bit about the benefits of studying in country, so at UTS College in Bangladesh, and then some of the top reasons to study in Australia. Of course, there's lots of different options for students who are wanting to study abroad. So we're going to run you through some of the benefits of studying in Sydney, here in Sydney. We'd also like to run through UTS, so the University of Technology in Sydney, why it's such a great choice for undergrad or postgrad studies. And also we're really going to focus in on business and IT because those are the diploma programs we offer through Bangladesh. And then, with transferring, what are the benefits of studying those programs here in Sydney? And we're delighted to have a student joining us who is going to talk through his experience of studying at university, some of the things that he learnt when he transferred across to the university. There's also an opportunity to ask questions at the end. If you have any questions, feel free to add them into the chat function and we can answer those at the end of the session. Or if you prefer at the end of the session, we'll turn cameras on and you are absolutely welcome to answer those questions live if you'd like to. Next slide, please. Thank you. So UTS College. So why choose UTS College and what are some of the benefits of studying a diploma program as your first year option? So UTS College, we support thousands of students transferred to UTS, and every year we have around 75 different nationalities studying with us. So we're a very multicultural college, and we support students transition from the school system into undergraduate education at UTS. We help students develop the skills they need, confidence and credentials to prepare for university. So it's a really big jump going from the school system into university. And so transitioning through a diploma or a pathway program really puts students in a really strong position when they commence at university. And we see that with so many of the students that we support through our programs every year. We also have around over 1,000 students studying our programs outside of Australia. So we're really very experienced at working with our partners to deliver those programs in different markets around the world. And many students transfer to university, to UTS in their second year. One of the reasons that we have a really unique proposition to students is that we have a program called Learning Connected, where the content that we deliver is taught in a fun and engaging way and really focuses on a number of different skills. So not just academic skills, also communication, collaboration, and making sure that students, when they finish with us, are well-rounded and you have all the skills that you need. It's not just about getting top marks on your assignments, it's also about working with others, working in groups, and understanding that there's lots of different aspects to learning and development that isn't all just about academics. We also work on an LMS system, learning management system called Canvas, and that's something that students will use the whole way through their UTS journey. So by studying with that in the first year, it's a very, very easy transition into the university. And most importantly, the diplomas that we have are the same learning outcomes as the first year at university. The only difference with those subjects is the way they're taught and the focus on sort of small personalized learning and focused on different ways of developing that content to support students to really understand the content that they're undertaking in their undergraduate degree. So just quickly, how do our diplomas work? So it's very simple. Undertaking the first year of university studies and then students take those credits that they learn and they go directly into second year at UTS. So a lot of students study with us here in Sydney, and then they transfer across to the university into their chosen degrees. But as I mentioned, we have many, many students that study our programs in different markets around the world and then transfer into the second year of UTS. And we make sure that those learning outcomes are exactly the same. So students that study, and as you would be studying in Bangladesh, you'd be on the same learning management system, learning the same content, same class sizes. So really it's a very seamless sort of process of going through that. So for the Diploma of Business, there's a lot of different majors that students can choose to articulate into after the diploma. So accounting, finance, international business, even law, and IT. There's also some amazing undergraduate programs that students can transition into once they've completed that diploma. Next slide, please. So I really wanted to highlight some of the benefits of studying in country. Of course, we have a lot of students that transfer to Sydney and start their study here in Australia. But there are some really great benefits to studying in country as well. So of course, UTS is a top 100 global university. So we have very, very strong rankings. And I'll go into those in a little bit more detail with a focus on business and IT, but very, very strong reputation, not just in Australia, but also globally. Another thing is the guaranteed credit. So students who complete the diploma programs or the first year programs are guaranteed credit into their second year. So they go directly into second year at the university. Lowering the costs. So studying in Australia comes with a lot of additional costs on top of your fees. So things like accommodation and transport. So one of the benefits of studying in market is that you don't have those living costs and those living expenses in your first year, and that can be quite a beneficial sort of reason to study in country as well. Through studying in the college, you get to learn, as I mentioned, with Canvas, and you get to leverage those UTS tools. So that's completely seamless, whether you're studying in Sydney or whether you're studying in Bangladesh, you'll still get access to all of those tools and learning management systems. And I think this is one of the most important things, is understanding the Australian way of teaching. So, and not just the Australian way of teaching, but also the university way of teaching is quite different to school. So students will have the opportunity in their own home environment to understand kind of the expectations around assignments, group work, the own investment of time into those different subjects. So it's a great way to get a taster of what the expectations will be once you transfer to university while you're still in your home environment. And even our domestic students here in Australia, they benefit hugely from transitioning from the Australian school system into our program and then into university, because it really prepares them not just for the type of teaching that happens at university, but also that step from school to university. So our students really benefit from those skills that they learn during their study time. One of the benefits of studying in country is that sort of transition piece, transferring from once you've completed your diploma into the university. And there's a whole team to support you on things like visas, the paperwork, all of the application processes, and give you really good advice on, where to stay with accommodation, and how to sort of support you through that transfer process. And there's a special team at UTS that supports students that are transferring from other programs in different markets. So there's a really a very, very good process there, and a very good team in country to support you with that. There's also some scholarships available for students that are transferring, which also is another benefit of studying. So there's good opportunities for you when you transfer into the university. And I think another really important thing to sort of focus on is the connections that you make when you're studying in country. So you're going to be studying with a group of students that are focused on studying abroad. They know they want to go to UTS. They'll be studying the same bachelor's degrees as you. So it allows you to build a network at home that will support you when you transfer to Australia. And that can be quite a challenging step to take when you're transferring to a new market or moving. I think it doesn't matter what age you are, it's a big learning curve. So to have some connections and some people that you can do that with, that makes that transition much easier. And that's what a lot of the students tell us, is that having that group of students to sort of help you and support you, and you can do that together, makes a big difference to transferring to the university at UTS. And I'll now hand over to Aline to talk about why Australia is such a great choice for study.
Thank you, Olivia. Yes, Australia is a great top study destination. I've made that choice a few years ago myself, so I can talk about that. And I've chosen Sydney as my home now. Australia is a great destination to study because it's politically safe and very stable as well, which I've always really enjoyed. Like, it's very easy to, go around in Sydney. I always feel safe. Obviously, it's a big city, so you have to be careful in some areas, but generally speaking, Sydney is pretty safe, and Australia as a whole is very safe as well. What I like about Australia, and especially Sydney, is the fact that it's very multicultural. I think it's a quarter of the population that is born overseas. So it's hard to find this kind of vibe anywhere else in the world. So don't be worried, because you'll fit in anyways, because so many people have an accent. So you grab a coffee one morning, you hear people talking different languages and with an accent. So you're never really, out of the box in Australia. We have a strong economy, very relatively low unemployment rate in Australia, and it's all driven by innovation. So this innovation drives employment as well, and great things to look at for the future. We've got a world-class education system, which is also coupled with international students protection. And this protection that we have is actually quite unique in the world. We were the first country to introduce this kind of rules. So this is really to protect our international students, to ensure that you feel safe, to ensure that if you do find a job, that the students can actually get a job, but at normal wage, and that you're able also to manage and balance out working as well as studying. And obviously protecting your rights as international students when you join an institution. So very unique, great country to be studying at. I have issues moving those slides along. Sorry. UTS is also globally recognized, so great for you guys to think about UTS. We are the first QS Top 50, first university, young university in Australia, and we are called Young University because we're just under 50 years of age. We are so first in Australia, number 9 in the world. We have just got the QS World Ranking. This year we are ranked number 88. So, and each year we go up. So basically each year we progress through this ranking. Really, this is really showing how the university within such a short period of time have been able to increase its impact on the world and in the education landscape. So this is great to have on your resume because employers look at that and they will recognize UTS, and they know that UTS is always a university that is very innovative with rankings that are always going up and up. And for the time higher education, we are ranked 148, and same, this one always goes up every year. So great news for UTS and great news for our students that are studying with us and for our alumni as well. UTS is also located in Sydney. So we'll have our student Rayat talking about his experience in Sydney. He's been living in Sydney for 3 years now, I think, so he can tell. I've been living in Sydney for 15 years now. And again, I love the city. I could have chosen any city, but I love Sydney, and UTS is located in Sydney. Not in any kind of place in Sydney, but really in the innovation hub of Sydney. Sydney is quite a big city, but it's really located in an area where there's a lot of startups around, but I'll explain more about that a bit later. Sydney was ranked number 4 best student city in 2024. As I said, Australia is a multicultural country, but Sydney even more, 39, so close to 40% of the population in Sydney is born overseas. I'm one of them. UTS, so as I said, is located in Sydney, and we're located in the CBD, so it's very easy to go to go around the city from UTS or wherever you live. There's lots of transport systems. So you'll have the train, the tram, or the light rail, as we call it, the metro now. We also have the ferry and the buses, obviously. So different ways to go around the city. You can go one weekend in the Blue Mountains, but then the other weekend spend a bit of time on the beach, or the weekend after, if you want to stay in the city, there's lots to do as well. It's a very vibrant city with lots of different things happening, and there's always something nice for depending on what you want to be doing. In terms of accommodation, we have accommodations available on campus or outside of the campus, whether it's private or through UTS housing, lots of options as well. And if you have questions about that, once you're ready to go to UTS, Barry can help you with this sort of inquiries. And as I said, UTS is located in Sydney, but really in the heart of the tech and the business precinct. So UTS, sorry, Sydney is a bit big, but where we are is really where everything happens. It's an amazing campus. You'll see a bit of some photos. So yeah, so the campus has changed a lot over the years, and we have invested more than $1 billion into the campus. And what I like and what is so unique about UTS is the fact that it's not a traditional campus as such. It's not traditional in the way that it's enclosed and it's really just for teachers, academics, and students. It's a porous campus, meaning that you'll see different kind of people on campus. Some companies, some industries will be renting some of the spaces that UTS has on campus, or some equipment as well. They do some projects with some of the students as well. So it's not just you are at university, you study, and then you go home. It's really like UTS is part of the community. UTS is part of the city, and you can see that, you can feel this vibe on campus, which is again very safe, very nice, and lots of different kind of people going in and out of the campus. And again, very centrally located. We are in the city center, so there's a tram station right across. There's also the metro and the train as well stopping by. So wherever you live in Sydney, there's always something stopping in front of UTS campus. Now, UTS students, I won't go through all of this. I'll let you have a look, but just a few stats on UTS. We've got more than 44,000 students studying with UTS, so quite a lot of students, and more than 11,000 are international students, and they come from 104 countries, probably, I think even more now in 2025. So yeah, again, as I said, you will fit in Sydney, but also you will fit in UTS. There's a good mix of domestic students and a good mix of international students as well. So you'll have the opportunity to meet different kind of people from different part of the world. And this is what you guys need for the future, because nowadays globalization is there. This is good to have this sort of connections with outside of your own kind of community. This is strength that you can develop for the future. And UTS is a great stepping stone for that. We produce different kind of graduates. So we've got lots of entrepreneurs, and we partner up with UTS startups, actually. So if you have an entrepreneurship kind of mindset, there's a program that UTS runs that you can also join. And we've produced lots of entrepreneurs within so many years. Global citizens, as I said, there's a lot of international students, but also domestic Australian students. Lots of program if you want to do a bit of traveling as well. But one of the things that UTS is really good at is the fact that we prepare students for the future. So you will become a critical thinker, but also really working on some projects that are part of the real world. So it's not just case studies, it's also working projects. So every single degree at UTS, especially IT and business, have a component of work experience within it. So you will be ready. It's not just about theory, it's really about learning those skills and building those kind of connections so that once you are graduated, you know exactly in your first job what to do. This is not completely new to you. You know already how to apply what you've learned during your studies, because you've done that in real life. So that's really the DNA of what UTS is. And we can do that because the way we teach is very much, as I said, practice oriented. So it's not just about theory. We make sure that you are ready to work right after you graduate, or even during your studies. but not just in Australia, but also globally. So if you decide to go back to Bangladesh, you'll be ready. If you decide to work somewhere else, you'll be ready as well, because you would have this kind of experience with global companies, but also with students, with your peers coming from different part of the globe. And as I said again, Sydney is such a multicultural city that we prepare you for what the world is like today. But still, we still have lots of research inspired and integrated learning. So we're not a traditional kind of university where you just come and sit down and listen. It's very much discussions and trying different things. And you will see that in the class. This is something stupid. You would think stupid, but it tells it all. Our chairs are all on wheels, the tables as well. So we want people to move around the class, to have these kind of discussions. So it's always very energetic in the classroom, because that's what it's like in the world when you start working. So let's have a quick look at business now. One of the most important things to remember is that we're in the top 100 university for accounting and finance, and top 150 university for business and management studies. We are also AACSB accredited, and it's important to remember that only 10% of institutions in the world have this accreditation. So you know that if you study business at UTS, you're already part of one of the most important faculty in the world. So yeah, always keep in mind that rankings do make a difference. And when you choose UTS, you're not making any mistake. The photo here is actually the business building, which was, I think, inaugurated maybe in 2015 or 16. So it's still relatively new, and it was designed by Frank Gehry, one of the most renowned architects in the world. It looks really nice outside, but inside it's actually even better. So state-of-the-art building, and this is what UTS is known for in Australia as well. So you will be studying in that building if you choose to study business. In terms of IT, so we rank #1 in Australia for computer science and engineering. So again, if you choose to study IT at UTS, you know you're making the right choice, because it's the best faculty, actually in Australia. As every other degrees, it's designed in collaboration with the industries to ensure, again, that you've got this experience and this hands-on experience before you go and start working. You will be using facilities and equipment that UTS has, which actually sometimes companies are using as well. So we've got the software studio, the 3D data arena, and if you come to Sydney, you'll probably have a look at it. It's pretty impressive. I think there's only 2 in Australia. And Protospace 3D printing facility, which is actually one of the area that most companies use as well in Sydney. So it's pretty amazing, the sort of things that our students do. Again, working with some companies in Sydney, this is used like in the real world. It makes a huge difference. Again, mind-blowing. As I said, we are not preparing you guys just to have a degree, but UTS is really focused on making sure that you have the skills for the future of work, that you are digital literate, that you know how you have this mindset of being able to solve some problems, think outside of the box. But also UTS is very well known for transdisciplinary kind of teaching. So you're not just locked into business if you choose to do business. We encourage students, and in some of the projects, you will be able to work with different kind of students from different kind of faculties as well. So you are able to develop this kind of mindset of having this kind of holistic look at a project, not just being set in one area. But obviously, on top of this, interpersonal skills are very important for the future, and this is what employers look at. And by coming to UTS, you will be sure to be able to develop this kind of skills. Enough of me talking. Now I'd like to welcome Rayat to join us, please. I have a few questions for him. I will stop sharing my presentation so that we can go through a bit of an interview. Hi, Rayat, how are you?
I'm good, Helene. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for joining us. Sorry, just give me 2 secs so that I can see all of the questions I had for you. So Rayat, he's from Bangladesh, same as you guys, and you are currently studying a Bachelor of Civil Engineering, specializing in construction. Can you tell us more about yourself, Rayat, please, and what you're studying at UTS?
course, yes. So I started studying at UTS through UTS College. I came here around 2022, I believe, because it's been 3 years now. And so I did my diploma at UTS College. I was doing a diploma of engineering, then transitioned into civil engineering at UTS. I started doing my second year there, and now I'm in my fourth year.
So about
So yeah, I've got
yeah.
one more year left. Yeah, time flies. But yeah, it was amazing. And in between, I did get involved a lot in UTS. So I'm part of the Bangladeshi Society for Students, and I'm also a student ambassador at UTS College.
Yeah, great. Maybe you can tell us more about that actually, because that's something we haven't talked about, but I think it's equally important. All of those societies and clubs that UTS has, and we have more than 100. So you're involved into the Bangladeshi society, is that right?
Yes. And I guess that is perhaps one of the better ways of finding friends, especially when you start at uni.
Yeah.
And if you're feeling like you have to stick with your culture for the time being, you're just here, you're not sure how to present yourself in front of most people. Great place to start. Mostly international students, a lot of domestic students as well, and everybody is just throwing events every other weekend. So you just go grab a bite. Usually it's free, and it doesn't have to be just cultural. There's a lot of interest-based societies as well. So I ride a motorcycle. There's a new society that just started at UTS. It's the Motorcycle Society that started this year, and they organize. There's one ride happening as we speak. I couldn't make it, but they went to La Perouse. They're doing a whole cruise around the inner west side of Sydney. So yeah, a lot of interest-based clubs as well. A lot for people to find, and make friends. It's very important.
Yeah, it is. And so you can't be bored. There's so much happening. Um, can you tell us why you chose Sydney and UTS as a study destination?
Yes. And I'm glad you asked that. I did apply to a lot of countries. So I did America, Canada, Australia as well. And I got accepted everywhere. Decent scholarships, pretty good universities. I would have to say though, when I was making my decision, Sydney, I didn't think of where I wanted to go, like the city practically. I did see it was a good city. But it really didn't matter to me at first as much.
Mm.
UTS as a university though, because it's top 100, and I've done very well academically throughout my life, and the prestige for it was very important to me, and I wanted to be part of such a nice and prestigious university. That was one of my decision-making factors. I'm doing an engineering degree, and it is one of the best universities in the world, if not just in Australia, for engineering. So naturally, I made my way there. And I've heard from, alumni. I've talked to a lot of people. I've talked to other student ambassadors before I even came to Australia, and a lot of that helped me inform my decision. So overall, that kind of led me to UTS. And again, the diploma at UTS College, I did an accelerated course, made me finish my first year much quicker. So that was also, again, something that I wanted to do. Wanted to kind of compress as much of my study time as I could. And now that I'm here in Sydney, and I've been here for 3 years now, I've been to pretty much every state except for Tasmania. And I can confidently say I'd rather be in Sydney because everybody else, it's nice. It's amazing. I've been to Melbourne. Weather's not as good, but it's nice. Queensland, not as much public transport. It's still nice. It's a nice place, but Sydney, you get the best of everything. And yeah, so
Yeah.
I guess that's a very important decision when you are making a move abroad for international students. So I guess this is something that they should consider and research perhaps a little bit better than I did when I came.
Thank you. I agree on the Sydney side for sure, which you've got everything and you've got so many opportunities. So it has the best of what a big city can offer, but
Exactly.
it's still
Exactly.
quiet enough so that it's not too crazy compared to, for instance, big European cities or big American cities as well. So you started with UTS College first. How can you explain how UTS College helped you transition into your second year then at UTS?
Sure. I'll give you a picture for students who've never been here or haven't started university overseas. It is very different from how we study back home, and I'm pretty sure every school back home, does the same thing pretty much, because I've got friends and cousins in other schools, and we all had different experiences, but it was relatively the same when it comes to the way you learn. And it would be teacher comes in, gives a presentation or writes things on the board, reads off from a book, you listen to it, you make your notes, you go home, you study at home, come back, do some tests, you're done. And that is not anything like what we do at uni. So at UTS, there's like lecture halls that can accommodate up to 200, 250 people. You get placed there, with a room full of strangers that you don't know. It's very easy to get overwhelmed, especially when you're trying to make sense of which room do I go to, when's my class, and all of that as well. For me, UTS College was kind of a balance between the two worlds. When I did start at first, I think you mentioned that already, Canvas was being used at UTS College, and that's the same tool that we use at UTS. Very helpful to get familiarized with it so early. I'm pretty sure we've got, and I say that because I've done these sessions, student ambassadors and other people from the student center help, and the IT team as well, I'm pretty sure. They help set up Canvas for students when they come in, or even online. They've got a help portal, I'm pretty sure. So for me, that was very helpful. And being able to learn at a more smaller scale before I transitioned into UTS, very helpful for me because it was like home, it felt more familiar, but at the same time, I was kind of learning of what I should expect at UTS. So I would say UTS College has been like a bridge that connects high school and university for me. And that's just my personal experience. But I've got amazing teachers, a lot of support structures, apps, tutors, the student center, lovely people, and everything's just set up for you to be successful at uni. And that's just what I found my experience to be.
Yeah, and I think it's true for many students. Thank you. I think this is great. I'm glad you had a great experience with us, and you're doing really great at UTS now as well. We didn't really talk about that, but when you came to Sydney and you had to settle in, how did you find that? Did you make any friends then? How was it to find an accommodation?
I actually studied online for the first 3 weeks. It was post-COVID, and there was no
Oh yeah.
restriction, but I had some issues getting my visa approved. So the first couple of weeks when I was doing online classes, met a few students there, some from Bangladesh, some overseas as well. And then by the time I got here, we kind of decided that, we want to live close by if possible together. By the time we got here, we had a few people help set up, an apartment for us. It's not the easiest thing to do, especially when you're studying if you don't have any people, but UTS has on uh, on campus housing, and
Mm.
there's other places as well. Very easy for students to kind of make that jump if they don't have anybody doing it for them, because you will kind of need some help setting this up initially. But ever since I came to Sydney, I've switched houses like 4 times now. And now I'm living with my friends. We are all in one apartment. We've got cats, we've got our own vehicles parked outside. It's everything that we kind of, imagined life would be, but it takes some time to get there. And UTS housing is a great option, like if you don't have any support to get you there initially.
Absolutely, for sure. And I have one last question for you. If you were going back in time, what would you have liked someone to tell you? Which means, what are your top tips for students that are listening to you
If I start going on about this, I'm never gonna finish. So
now?
I'll give you the important ones.
Mm,
Driver's license. Number one, have one, right? Even if you don't drive, have one. It's very important. Getting a car license here is kind of a long stretch. So having an overseas license makes it a lot easier. And this is something that I had to struggle with, but I did my test and I'm done with it now. So, just a heads up for everybody coming in, have a driver's license, very important, trust me. Um, Being able to kind of adjust to the life here, you will need friends. And my recommendation would be to get in early. UTS College and UTS have career fairs. They've got open days. They've got events for the start of the semester during the orientation week. Very helpful to just, pop in there if you have questions. Even if you just, want to see what it's like to be at uni without having to study, just come in a week early. It's 1 week before the actual class starts. So you come in, see where everything is. Very helpful. Like I said, one of the best things that you can do for yourself, get involved with other students, especially if they're, you know, from the same culture or if they share interests with you. So the Activate UTS student societies, again, very helpful. And because I came a little bit late, like I said, had to start online. I didn't miss out on my kind of initial the events that we had at UTS College and UTS. And, you know, I joined all the clubs late, but, you know, when I got here finally, and I had the opportunity to experience that, I just, you know, thought to myself, this would have been very helpful if I had known earlier.
Mm.
So very, very important. I would say when it comes to studying, because obviously you guys are coming to study, be on top of things. It's always good to review your materials. They're always going to be on Canvas, and Canvas is, you know, game changing. We've never had anything like this back home. So the reason why I say this is if you want everything to be in one place, it's in Canvas. You know, you have your lecture notes, you've got your recordings, whatever you need. It's just in one place. Get familiar and, you know, be prepared so that when you are in class, you can just ask questions and get everything out of the way. That way you don't feel like you're struggling. And yeah, I guess that would be the best 5 that I can think of from the top of my head.
Thank you, Rayat. I can just quickly see there's a question in the chat. Someone is asking about part-time jobs. So as international students, you're allowed to work up to 40 hours a fortnight on your student visa. Rayat, are you
24 a week and 48 a
24 now?
fortnight.
It's changed, right? Sorry. Yeah. I'm still in pre-COVID mode. It's changed then. Are you working at the same time, aren't you?
Yes, so I'm an ambassador at UTS College,
Yeah.
and that is not the main thing that I do. I do work in men's fashion, so that is the major part of my income that I have. I do pay for my rent and groceries by myself, so it is not really difficult. Like, can be expensive, but if you are working, and you don't need all 24 hours to cover up for it, if I'm being very honest.
Okay.
The difficult part may be getting a job, you know, but if it's not really that difficult, you're looking for entry-level jobs when you're coming in, you're not trying to be an engineer day one, you know, you're not trying to be a financial planner day one. So if you're looking for entry-level jobs, it's more about how you communicate your skills, you know, how you can present yourself to your employer. And that's going to be very helpful when it comes to getting a job. If you want you know, better tip, I would say instead of applying online, just go see if you can meet that person that's in charge of hiring, and that's gonna up your chances a lot. That's how I got my first job. And I'm not with that company anymore, but you know, it just goes to show that you can easily get a job. You know, it doesn't have to be something you need to stress about, especially when you're just coming in. You've got a lot of things to think about, and that it should not be something that bothers you and, you know, throws you off balance when you're trying to settle in. I would say when you are coming in, bring some funds to help survive the first couple months because it will be necessary. So you know, you can be the best candidate in the world. You're not going to get a job as soon as you land. You know, it's going to take some time. Let's be realistic. So all of that, you know, everything considered, it is fairly straightforward, especially being in Sydney. You know, you've got opportunities everywhere. There's campus, on-campus jobs. There's, you know, if you want to be an ambassador, you can apply. You can do a lot of things. So I don't think finding a job would be a big issue for students.
Yeah,
I agree.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to add such good advice just with having a CV or a resume. Good idea to think about getting that ready before you come. There is workshops that you can do at the university. So I think that idea of having some funds available for your first couple of months so you can settle in, find your feet, work out how to use the public transport, those sorts of things are important. And then once you've sort of settled, you can start to look for work. But yeah, good advice and something that I always tell the students when I'm counseling them overseas is have your CV or your resume ready and work on that. If you don't, there's support here. There's lots of good resources online in terms of, you know, making sure that you have the right format and that you can showcase some of the things that you've done, things like volunteering or things that you've done at home that can support that as well. So I think that's such great advice. I think there's a question here about rental and and the cost of accommodation. I'll just add something in before I refer to you. So accommodation costs in Sydney vary. It depends what kind of arrangement you have. It's can go from very high end and quite expensive housing, which tends to be like commercial, like Igloo, or some of the hostel accommodation that includes meals. That can be at the very high end of rent. You could be paying up to $600 a week for that, maybe even a little bit more depending on how many meals are included. And then probably one of the most cost-effective ways for accommodation in Australia is share housing and having a house together with some friends or other students. And I know that's what you're doing, Rhea. Did you just want to talk a little bit through what you did when you first arrived and like what your situation is now? You don't have to talk about the cost, but just why you went with that option.
When I started, I had some help. I'll have to be honest about this. I had some help getting my first accommodation set up. So some of my dad's friends live in Australia for many, many years, and they helped me find an accommodation with other Bengali students. They're also international students, different universities, but I got a room for myself in, I still keep in touch with them. I don't live with them anymore, but we still keep in touch. And I would say if you don't have anything like that to help you, there's always Facebook groups. That's always been very helpful to find, houses. There's always going to be someone posting like, we've got a room available. Does anybody want to, come in? They're usually going to give you all the pictures and, how much you have to pay for there. Location, again, very important. If you want to live closer to the CBD, you can probably get to university easier. But at the same time, it's going to skyrocket your costs. So it's up to you. I live about 35-minute drive from uni, and I have a vehicle, so I don't really have to worry about it. But there's heaps of public transport options. And some of them are even free. Like the bus that goes from my place to Sydenham is free. So all of that is very helpful. The other thing that I want you to understand as well, there are some suburbs that are exclusively comprised, or I'd say like mostly comprised of, people of specific demographics. So a place there where I'm living, it's not exactly all Bengali people living, but there is a lot of them. So I live in Punchbowl at the moment, and there's, Punchbowl, Bankstown, Lakemba, a lot of Bengali people, celebrating cultural events and all of that as well. So if you want to find a place that feels like home, maybe start there, and you can probably move out later if you want. I live with my friends now. It'll take you some time to be able to rent an apartment or a house. So this house that I'm living in is a 5-bedroom house, and it's leased under my name. And that's because I've got that income to be able to show that. You won't have that when you start, just come into the country. It's going to take some time, but at the same time, you don't really have to worry about that when you get in. Your first thing, the entire first year, I'll say, should be focused on being able to settle in, being able to learn how to, get around, do your groceries. I would say don't, like my recommendation, but probably don't pay for meals that are bundled with your rent. Learn how to cook. It's really not that difficult. Basic meals, we can all make that. You can get a rice cooker. I know rice is a big thing back home. So if you want to have rice, just get a rice cooker. You don't really have to cook either way. So yeah, it's pretty, it depends on how you make your decisions. If you don't have any support coming in, try getting into UTS housing, Scape. There's a few options. Or join one of those Facebook groups. You can just, search up Bangladeshi students Facebook group or something like that, and they'll have something there. I'm not sure about the exact name. I saw a question. I am not exactly sure about the exact name. I've never been part of it when I was coming in because I didn't really need it, but I'm aware of it now, so I'm pretty sure that they do. There's a website called Gumtree. You can find some there. Facebook Marketplace, and people always post there as well. So just
Yeah.
some options.
Yeah, and UTS housing can help as well. I think you make a really good point that a lot of students will have some accommodation that they're in for maybe the first 6 months or the first year, and then they'll tend to transition into something else in the second or third years. Even domestic students tend to do that when they travel from a different part of Australia. They'll tend to live somewhere while they settle, and then they'll move after their second year and tend to move in with friends or when they've made connections. There's quite a lot of community groups groups that you can join. So there would be different Facebook groups for students. And I think just to Rayat's point around joining clubs, joining societies, volunteering, that's a really good way to meet people who may be looking for a flatmate or looking for someone to move into their house. So it's a really good opportunity to sort of broaden your network, but also to look for opportunities to, to move in with people who may have a vacancy in their flat. I think there's a question there about scholarships. So you can definitely talk to the team from Berry about the scholarships that we have. We do have Traleen scholarships into the second year at UTS. So you can have a chat to them about your eligibility for that. I just also wanted to flag, there's 180 clubs and societies at UTS now. So maybe 181 now that there's the Motorcycle Society.
Yeah, they just started the semester, so
maybe 181. But I can't emphasize enough for any students that are coming from overseas, particularly because a lot of the students here domestically, they're part of sports clubs. They already have these things on the go in terms of interest, but they'll often join these clubs. Such a great way to meet people, and a great way to broaden your horizons and your interests as well. There's so many different clubs to choose from. So really encourage students to look into that and join that as soon as they arrive. And I think arriving a little bit earlier than your start date is also another really good tip. Arrive a couple of days or up to a week before, settle in, work out how to get to the uni, navigate your way around the university. It's an open campus, so it's very easy to come in and have a look around. And I think that's a great tip as well. A lot of students think that they leave it right until a day or two before they start. Great to arrive a little bit earlier to settle in and find your feet. I'm just conscious that we're a little bit over time. So I just wanted to say thank you so much to you, Ray. I could talk to you for an hour, and hopefully those that have joined have found the information that you've shared and that Elaine and I have shared helpful. But of course, for anyone on the call who wants to find out more information about the transfer process or more about the programs, then talk to the team at Berry, and they'll be happy to help you with any questions that you have. So thank you very much. I hope to be visiting at some time in the future. I haven't been to Dhaka for about 6 years, so it's definitely time for a trip. And thank you to everybody. And I hope you found the session, helpful, and it answered some of your questions for you. I didn't see any other questions in the chat. If anyone did want to ask anything, no? Okay, good. Okay, well, we'll wrap up then. Thanks, everybody.